Also, let's discuss this interesting observation. I've seen a lot of health influencers out there talk about how when they feel hungry, they just go work out. And that blunts their hunger cues, and they're advising you to do the same. But is that true? Is that really going to blunt your hunger? This advice actually misleads so many women into continually blaming themselves, blaming their discipline and their behavior patterns for feeling hungry. This advice is kind of an avoidant band-aid that you're putting on top of the real issue, that your primal hunger is a strong signal that there is something wrong at a deeper level. The truth is that not all workouts are created equal. And if you are just going and working out to blunt your hunger, you might be doing much more damage to your body than you can imagine. So let's talk about cardio and how cardio has become this ultimate fat loss tool that everybody must do and everybody must press on if they want to achieve a physique. So let's look at it realistically. Does cardio work? Yes, it does. I mean, if you look at the physiques of marathon runners, bodybuilders who do cardio 6 times in a week, they are shredded. So it clearly works. And so it makes sense that because of all of this data around you, you would go and sign up for, spin classes, go 3 times a week, 1 hour each, really burn yourself out and push through, sweating and, just like pumping it all out. But a couple weeks in, you realize that while you're consistent with these workouts, you're tired and you're more hungrier after the class ends. And it's not that your weight is going down either. So what's the reward here? Somewhere there is a thought at the back of your mind that you've been now ignoring and trying to push away. But that thought says that looks like this might not be the right strategy for me. Like cardio is not working for me the way it's working for others around me. What if this is actually making things worse? And you know what? It mostly is. I've met many women with hectic lives who are super consistent that it's impressive. They do 6 days to 7 days of CrossFit, workouts, group classes, HIIT. Sometimes they do 2 workouts in a day, all so that they can start seeing the needle moving on the scale just like everybody else. And they are gaining weight. Not staying the same, not losing, but they are actually gaining weight. Is that even possible? So they came to me convinced that they had a food problem or a discipline problem, a motivation problem, which they could not identify. But then when we looked at their cortisol patterns and their training load, food didn't even feature. So what is your cortisol pattern? Now think of cortisol like a wave, okay? It spikes in the morning to wake you up. Then it stays steady throughout the day so that you can be productive, you don't have any energy crashes. And then at night, it starts tapering down so that you can wind down, you feel, drowsy and you fall asleep. This is what a healthy cortisol pattern looks like. Now, in cases of insulin resistance and PCOS, what research has shown is that cortisol tends to be more flatter and more erratic. So in the morning, it may not spike as high as it should, which is why you wake up feeling, not well rested, you don't have that much energy in the morning. There might be random spikes in case, you get stressed at work. Your cortisol might spike twice as higher than someone who doesn't have PCOS. So because of this erratic behavior, you have these you cannot predict how you're going to feel sometimes. And then you feel randomly tired and randomly anxious and randomly, just wired. And so now you think about workouts. When you're training, you're obviously spiking your cortisol. But because your cortisol, rise and fall is not predictable, recovery is kind of compromised, right? Because your cortisol might not fall as cleanly as it should after the workout. Okay, so now your training load is basically the amount of stress that you're putting on your body when you're doing an exercise or a workout. It depends on the intensity of your workout. It depends on the frequency, like how often you do these type of workouts and how much recovery time you give yourself between the sessions. Now, the stress is not bad, but the amount of stress matters. A healthy training load means it gives your body enough stress to adapt so that it can become stronger, and enough rest to actually do the adaptation. Okay, so if your training load is too high, say for example, you're training 6 days a week and doing extra cardio so that you can lose fat faster and all of that stuff, then think about how much stress you're putting on your body. The amount of stress that gets accumulated is far more than the amount you can recover from. So this scenario is called as cortisol creep. You're adding cortisol pile to every session without sufficiently recovering from the previous session. So does that mean that you shouldn't do cardio? No. What it means is that you need both. You need a sort of a balanced routine that involves the right amount of cardio and the right amount of recovery time that is suited to your cortisol pattern in particular. And if you have insulin resistance, PCOS, or prediabetes, obviously, as I mentioned, your cortisol pattern is dysregulated. It's not normal. Okay, so before you ask me, so how many times in a week should I do cardio? Let's contrast this with progressive strength training. So in 2018, a case-control trial showed that 16 weeks of resistance training in PCOS women led to the following improvements. We had increased muscle strength, increased lean body mass, reduced body fat percentage, and the most important, it lowered testosterone and improved your fasting glucose. The same sessions were worsening their conditions when done at a higher intensity, but when done with the right training load, we started noticing sustainable weight loss in them. You're now able to build the very expensive muscle tissue, which is so crucial to sweep up all of that excessive glucose from your bloodstream. It essentially acts as a carb sink, very important for regulating your insulin blood sugar cycle. Muscle is the place where insulin sensitivity is built. Every bit of muscle that you're adding to your body, you are increasing your chances at boosting insulin function. So you're kind of defending your body against insulin resistance. The best part is that muscle works for you while you're resting, while you're at your desk, while you're cooking meals. So the takeaway is you don't need to do more of cardio or more of strength training. You need to do the right amount, and that your timetable or your workout schedule just needs to be different because it's curated to your hormonal pattern.